Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani. 1st of June it is, and the new month is starting. Tomorrow it is your biggest examination, and a lot of things of your life, they will depend on this. The people who are appearing for the last time, best of luck to all of them. And the people who have many chances left, then it's up to you. If you have studied for whole year, then go without any tension. Many questions, more than 50% questions you will recall very easily. And if you can score 50% questions easily, then that means you can be selected. So the people who are watching my lessons, I'm telling you many things you will recall from these lessons only, because the prelims examination is like that half of the questions, they are like anybody can attempt that if that person has made a serious attempt there. Okay, so if you have studied for whole year, then for sure many things will be very easy to recall for you people. Otherwise things may mess up if you have not studied, and if you are just taking a chance here, then these things will be extremely risky also, because the competition is very tough, and these years questions are becoming more and more deeper and much more complex. So that is the issue. So today do not study anything, just relax. You may watch a movie also, so that you can be relaxed, you can sleep easily, and tomorrow you will recall a lot of things. That's a guarantee. That's my personal experience for many years now. So let's start the lesson today, and some facts, one article, and many more things. Let's start the lesson. 1st of June. These are the numbers that you can call, and you can ask for these pending courses. Now these are going to be very important help. The people who are going to appear next year, or next to next year, or maybe next to next year, who are appearing in the graduation examinations and all. So these are the golden courses for all of you people. Now you will need them more than ever. So that's why you can call, and these are available at 60% off. Very important courses. Important revelation and acceptance by the government here. GDP growth slumps to 5.8% now. It is in the last quarter for the 2019 fiscal year, and it was January to March data, 5.8%. So here for this quarter we are losing the fastest growing economy tag, and we have become second after China, because it is only about the quarter. If we look at the overall annual growth, then still we are at the fastest place. Okay, but you see some areas are struggling a lot. Automobile sector is also struggling these recent months. Mining sector at 1.3% growth, fishing sector 2.9% growth, agriculture is going through a deep crisis here, manufacturing at 6.9%. so these things show that a lot needs to be done by the new government. So these are now older data, but very much important data, and the first thing they need to make sure that now whatever data comes, that should be genuine, that should be very much clear on the scales of genuineness. Otherwise there is no meaning. If there is some kind of jugglery here, and some kind of misinformation in a indirect way, then these things will not be anywhere helpful for our economy and for the whole nation here. So that's why this case shows that a lot of decisions they need to make in first 100 years, and today's article is talking about the first 100 days decisions that they need to make here. They have enormous majority now. They can have a great political will. They can decide about major things here. So it's not gonna be very much difficult for them, but the political will would be needed, and a right, genuine and upright approach would be expected and needed, extremely needed by the government's side here. Okay, although this thing they're saying that there were temporary factors like stress in the NBFC sector and a lot of speculations before the elections, and the consumption finances, they were affected here. So that's why these quarterly numbers, they don't matter. This is set by government. So we need to see what they bring out here. Next, Karamveer Singh. He takes over as the chief of the naval staff, 24th chief of the naval staff. A lot of controversies were there. Vice Admiral Bimal Verma was there. He is now the chief of the Andaman and Nicobar based Tri-Service Command, and he approached Armed Forces Tribunal questioning the appointment, as he was the most senior naval officer after Admiral Lamba, who has given the baton to Mr. Singh. So there was a breakage in the convention, because it is not a rule. There is no particular provision given in the constitution or something like that. It is all based on the convention that the senior most person is appointed as the chief of the staff, but he was not taken for the job, and the second person, Karamveer Singh, here he is standing right, he is given this responsibility. So that's the thing. Okay, and Admiral Lamba is outgoing person here. Next, US reiterates threat of sanctions over Triumph deal. S-400 Triumph surface-to-air missile system, most advanced system today in the world, according to some reports, and boldly defying the US pressure, we signed this deal with Russia, and this is the most important procurement for us in the modern times, and that was a huge, severely, this was affecting some bilateral and trilateral relationships for us. You see, we were there in this particular triangle here between America and USA, and if we would have declined this particular deal, then the relations with Russia, they would have jeopardized in a sense. But we chose Russia over American pressure, and this was some sort of pressure in the US-India relationship that is already going on in some troubles like the trade deals, the GSP system, and the waiver with the Iran oil issues and all. So a lot of controversies are there between India and America today. But that time we chose boldly Russia here, and that was hailed a lot by the government also. Now, after the elections, where we postponed the GSP issue decision for the after election scenario, and now America says that clearly that is a done deal and India is out of the GSP system. And this is the another one where America says that America may think about the CAATSA provisions here. What is CAATSA? This is countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act. That means whoever America thinks as a enemy, then this country like India or any other country who is favoring its adversaries, or they are signing some kind of deal with the adversary, then CAATSA would be invited by that country who is signing the deal with the adversary. So maybe here India would be inviting that, and there is a separate act called National Defense Authorization Act. This act allows for the waivers here, and according to that, America may allow some countries some kind of waiver. So here the waiver was not given to India, and now India expected that thing as it expected for the Iranian deal also. But now America says that it's a trouble now, and you have signed a wrong deal, because we hailed you as an important partner, like the strategic partner, although we are not yet the strategic partner to USA, but we are close to that. But here we have signed the deal with Russia, so it is jeopardizing some issues here. So we may have to see what America decides about that. But certainly we have a great relationship with Russia, and that was emboldened by this particular deal, and that was very much necessary because that was a very crucial time. From that particular place, we would have gone towards a decline in the bilateral relationship between India and Russia, or the way we have chosen Russia over the American pressure, that was emboldening the relationship here. But now America is raising the CAATSA issue here, so that we need to see here, and it's the best air defense system. It is targeting the aerial missiles here. So this is S-400, a Triumph system, surface to air missile system. Almaz Central Design Bureau had designed this, and since 2007 it is there with the Russian armed forces. So that's very, very important. S-400. Next, India to lose preferential trade system or the terms with the US. America says it's a done deal. There is no backing out now, and this is according to the WTO's provisions, and India was getting this advantage here. India was the biggest beneficiary here. We have discussed this issue in much detail in March, February issues. Many articles, big huge articles were there regarding that, so there is no need to waste our time with that. But here America says, as we have entered the terms with Turkey also with this GSP program since 17th of May, and we are ending it with India also, because India is not giving us a fair deal, a fair access to its markets, and it is giving us some blockage of the tariffs and all. So some hurdles are there. So it's not a clear and smooth access to Indian market for us. So that's why India has to bear the consequence here, and we started with these 1st February e-commerce giants regulations there, where we changed some FDI norms and all, and that also hurt these American giants like Amazon and Walmart, which has bought Flipkart there. So this was against them, and after that America decided to end the GSP terms with India. So that's the case here. 60 days notification they had given to us, and we could not do much about it because the elections were going on here, so we could not decide a huge deal here. Now America says it's an end. Next, tight-fisted central meets deficit targets. They projected for 3.4%, and it remained below that. 3.39% was the fiscal deficit. So it was a kind of a relaxation for the government, but you see, it was not in the real terms, because in the absolute terms it has gone up. It was projected as 6.34 lakh crore rupees as the revised estimates, and it stood for 6.45 lakh crore rupees. So it was towards a kind of a raise here, but it has not gone up in the percentage terms to the GDP, because GDP has grown to huge numbers here, and that's why the percentage numbers were very less here. So it's a kind of a good thing for the government that they could control it before the projected numbers. So that's the thing. But you see, they need to take many steps here, because a lot of things are raising the deficit here. These subsidy schemes, income support schemes and all, they are raising the expenditures here, and the less expenditure and the higher earning from the known tax revenues. These were the bigger reasons here that they could keep it below 3.4% mark. But now these schemes, they need to check on them, and they need to go towards some other methods like the higher production issues, and they need to support farmers and primary sectors with some other technological advanced methods here. Otherwise these things are not good for the economy, and they are raising the fiscal deficit issue, and fiscal deficit is a huge thing for the government always, and they need to go for a robust economy, and they are thinking about the public-private partnerships and all. So they need to maintain about the fiscal deficit here, because they cannot go for higher expenditures here. They need to settle them here. So that's the case here. Okay, so this is just an information. We need to see how they are deciding about it in July first week. They are bringing the budget here, so we need to see how they are changing the project trajectories and how they are deciding about the things. Next, Tata Power to develop 100 megawatt solar projects in Gujarat. It's a letter of award that Tata Power, the subsidiary is Tata Power Renewable Energy Limited, that has won this letter of award from Gujarat government, and that is the Department of Gujarat Urja Vikas Nigam Limited. So it has given it for the 100 megawatt solar projects in Ranganesda Solar Park of Gujarat. So they may ask you about this particular solar park, and Gujarat is having huge areas, much sunlight is available, and it's GUVNL under a power purchase agreement valid for 25 years period of time. Okay, so that's the case. That's a win-win situation for the private sector and for the government also, because we are going with the national target of 175 gigawatt, and that is for 2022, but it will extend further for the next period also. But these steps are somewhat a psychological boost, as all are taking attention to this area, and they are supporting the move here. But it is surely a private concern, but the goal is a national goal, because it's a huge deal for the surrounding areas. And this this particular solar park of Ranganesda, you should remember here. Next, Niti Aayog is announcing for a policy framework for infrastructure projects. It's a dire need today that we have some industrial policy and some infrastructure framework here. So Niti Aayog is going for the infrastructure projects here. It is choosing that, and Amitabh Kant, the CEO of Niti Aayog, suggests the development of a national project management policy framework for the effective execution of public sector and the public-private partnership infrastructure project. You see, this public-private partnership, this is going to be a lot more important, because alone private sector or alone public sector, they cannot go for the higher growth numbers. And if they are going jointly with a particular regulatory framework, a smooth framework, then they can add a lot of contribution in the GDP numbers, and our manufacturing sector may become robust here. Next information, Japan unveils policy to curb plastic waste. You see, this year plastic was a major highlight. For sure you will have one or two questions regarding plastic, and the Geneva Convention, as I told you, they added this plastic to the hazardous waste list, and India has banned the single use plastic import. There is a complete ban, and they are phasing out the use nationally of this plastic also. So all countries are going for this plastics. Burning issue here is that 8 million tons of plastic, that is adding itself to the oceans every year. So it's a huge thing, and Japan is going to host the G20 summit later this month. So Osaka summit is going to happen there, and it would be the topmost agenda for G20 countries, as we are also a member of the G20 group. So it's going to be a huge thing, and India is leading here in many areas. So climate change, renewable energy, and all these pollution issues, they are very much crucial for us also. Okay, and Japan's policy aims for 2035 year, and they are saying that we will recycle 100% newly produced plastic, and we will promote the use of biodegradable alternatives to oil-based plastic. So that is the thing here. So that's important. They may ask you this thing in the prelims examination also. Okay, and you see the biodegradable plastic, that is the biggest alternative here. They may ask you about that. Next, Riyadh seeks firm action against Iran. All countries, the particular grouping of USA, Israel, Saudi Arabia, all these countries, they are targeting Iran in all possible ways. Now Iraq says that we will be vulnerable here, so you have to take care about us. But Saudi Arabia says that your military setup, it has some Iran supported militias, and we will target that, and US will never hesitate to target that, because Iran is instabilizing the area, and Saudi Arabia is fighting with the Houthis, which are Iran supported Shia militias. So that's a problem here, and you see US is accusing Iran already for many things. So they are in a way totally targeting, all round they are targeting Iran here, and Iran is also standing its ground, and it is accepting all the challenges here. Otherwise it is not accepting any kind of allegation here, but it is accepting the challenge openly here. So we need to see, it's a sensitive future ahead, and how these countries are managing the situation. Saudi Arabia is changing a lot of things. It is contacting many countries. It is changing its total scenario. All these countries, the Arabian countries, the UAE and all, are targeting a different future there. The oil economics is changing. So it's a kind of a far different world now in the Middle East, and America is certainly opting for a different kind of situation. If they are targeting Iran with some attacks and all these things happen, then certainly it is not a good future for the whole region, and India should also be very much sensitive about this issue, and it is suggested by many experts here. So that's the case. Next, North Korea. It's a very unfortunate situation. It's a typical situation in North Korea, where it's an example, it's a learning for the whole world. If you give absolute power to a person, then these kind of things will happen. You see, Hanoi summit happened, and that was a kind of a failure there. So the person who was a key person for the US affairs for North Korea, the North Korea's envoy, Kim Hyok-chol, he has been executed by North Korean administration, and it's a very sad news, because this happens normally there. The person who was very much a key person, and who was putting his all efforts to make this particular deal, and anyhow they accept that, but the main thing happened that it failed the king there. So that's why the ultimate tyrant king, the Kim Jong-un, is continuing with the tyrannous processes there, and that person is executed. Other the associated officials are also sent to labor camps and all, and they are facing many charges there. So that's a very disturbing news there. Next, e-cigarettes pose public health risk, says ICMR. ICMR first time officially is saying, accepting this thing, that the electronic nicotine delivery system having these e-cigarettes, they are very much dangerous. They are affecting all the parts of the body. They are affecting the pregnant ladies, and it is affecting the brains of the developing fetus and all. And anytime, anywhere, it is affecting all parts of the bodies there. So it's never a good thing to accept, and they are urging for the complete ban of it. So ICMR is an apex body, and for the biomedical research, it is taking part in formulation, coordination, policy formation, promotions, everything. One of the oldest bodies. It started in 1911 with a different name as the Research Fund Project and all, and then in 1949 it was given the name as ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research. So that's important. 26 national institutes are there with the ICMR, and they are targeting all these important disease and all, and targeted approaches programs are going on. And mainly the virus outbreaks are too many these years. Many mutations are there in the viruses, and also they are bringing very fatal disease on the Indian scenario, in the health scenario. So they have launched this particular VRDL also, the Viral Research and Diagnostic Laboratories. It's a joint effort, because you see, it was the responsibility of the National Institute of Virology, Pune, and the Disease Control Lab in Delhi combinedly. Now they are taking to the next level, and it is introduced by Department of Health Research, and this would be called VRDL. It was introduced in 2013, and this is taking this baton of virus based disease and all this research, because a lot of research is needed. You can take any example: dengue, chikungunya, Japanese encephalitis, all are virus based disease, and these are very much fatal for huge populations. These are 26 important institutes under it, which are doing all these researches for many important areas, and it releases Indian Journal for Medical Research every year. Okay, next, Google is targeting third-party accesses. You see, anytime we have many extensions, like in the Chrome web browser, we have many extensions like YouTube, any other Acrobat Reader, or any AdSense, and all these kind of third-party apps are there, which are added as extensions, and they have different security setups, and they are changing the user profile there, the user modes there, and they may jeopardize some security aspects. So it was a huge allegation on Google. Now Google is going to target these extensions and Google Drives and all these third-party access apps. So this is going to be a good move by Google, and the data leak and the security of the important issue and the data analytics, they have become the most crucial problem for the world, and everything is based on internet and the e-governance issues. And here, if these security aspects are not robust, as you see, this is the allegation on the world's biggest tech giant. And now we talk about the governments like Indian government and all, then there is a huge difference. So if these are facing these allegations, then what about our security setup? So it's a very sensitive area. They all need to take steps here, and it's a good move by the Google that it is targeting these issues here. Okay, and Indian government also should come up with many strict laws and many important researches in this area. We have potential, we have genius minds here, but the support is needed for sure. Next, now we talk about the article here. Only one article is important here. It is talking about the government's first 100 days and how they need to move further. This article is talking about the Netanyahu situation, where it could not prove the majority there. It was recently elected for the 5th term, but it could not prove the majority. And now Netanyahu says that I will win again here for sure, but September is the month when these elections will happen. He was winning the election with the support of Orthodox Jews and all. Some military service conditions were there, which were mandatory for all the people except these Orthodox Jews group. So it became a huge issue, and now some groups are not supporting Netanyahu there, and he could collect only 60 seats there, and it was a problem for him. So by one vote he lost the move here, and for the first time any particular representative of the political group who was proposed as a prime minister, he has lost this motion here, and now in September they will see a different political situation there. For sure, some issues are changing because he was winning the election on the warmongering issues, the security issues, threats by the Palestinian authorities and all these issues, and certainly the religious issues and some extreme measures which it took in the past, and America's support was there for sure, but many allegations were there on the regime. So all these things became a problem for Israel, and liberals are not adding much impact, but certainly the image making is a crucial thing for Netanyahu. So now he will face a different political situation there. Next, outlining the first 100 days. It says that now they have been re-elected here, and India is a young nation. We are about to cross USA in terms of consumer spending. It is close to $5.7 trillion, and it is a report by World Economic Forum. And by 2030, we will become the second largest country here. And major population is under 45 years of age, and around 50 crore people, they are using smartphones, and around 80 crore people, they are internet users there. So maybe it's close to 1 billion people by 2030, and it's a huge deal, a huge nation to manage there. And the past 5 years, they anyhow passed by, many announcements were there, but the execution and the delivery became a big problem. The bureaucratic maze is also there, and political will is also always a problem. Jumlas cannot take the economy, so now they need to take some robust steps here. And it says that technology is the biggest help. In the end of the article, it says that Prime Minister's office, they should use now modern technological tools like OmniFocus or Slack, like for monitoring, deep monitoring, follow-up, program-wise, office-wise, and these kind of thing will be the biggest help in the next 5 years. But for the first 100 years, they need to install all these things. And farmers, you see, they are going through a crisis, and these subsidy-based schemes, income transfer schemes, they will not help much. So they need to go for the productivity issues, technological advancement issues, and the expenditure would be important in those areas. Otherwise, it's not a good economics there, and it is certainly adding to the fiscal deficit area. One more thing that is adding to the fiscal deficit area where government is not that much confident, it is the employment issue, the government employment issue. Here they are saying that certainly they are not going for a major employment recruitment drives because it is going to add fiscal deficit there. So they have been very much cautious. But he says that the government job issue is also not a balanced one. Some sectors, they are overstaffed, like railways and all, and some are facing a crisis like the teachers, professors, the police officials, doctors. There is not much recruitment, and they are facing many unfilled vacancies there. So here the balance should be there, and major recruitments are needed here. So that's the two big areas related to fiscal deficit. Next, data analytics. We are lacking here, and US, China are way behind than us in this area, because we are not having major researchers and supports for artificial intelligence, data analytics, and blockchain technologies. We are yet to start a boom in these areas. We have bigger examples, bigger data here, but analytics is a major problem. So we need to invest here, and certainly the startups may bigger help, and startups are also a great help for the employment scenario. But you see, there must be a smooth and very easy framework, regulatory framework for the startups also, because some are becoming unicorns, or some are yet to become unicorns. So they are helped because of the easy regulation network here. So this framework should continue, and there must be a easier framework, regulatory framework for all of them, so they can be supported here. And they need to go for a India first investment agency. That is for surely needed. They targeted much more investment, but that was not on the expected lines. Now they need to target these Fortune 1000 best companies of the world. He is citing the example of Tesla company, that when their next gigafactory would come in Nevada in America, why it should not come in India? It would cost them less than half the numbers, and it would be very much supported here, because the labor is also available, skilled labor is also available here, and it must be a boost for them, and it would be a boost for the Indian economy also. So they need to go for these kind of mergers, these kind of invitations, and credible incentives must include an exemption from India's notoriously opaque land laws and bureaucratic maze. So these two problems they need to solve here. The opaque land laws and bureaucratic maze, they always create problems, and they are always creating mood offs for the investors also. So that became a huge problem in the last 5 years, the first term for the Modi government. Now they need to go for that. Regarding the labor reforms, there are different views. Like yesterday we discussed that the former economic advisor, he said that we may postpone labor laws now. But here the writer says that India could never get the advantage of the bigger factories and all, because they want to escape from these regulations, job descriptions and all. So they are always going for lesser numbers of workers. 75% of the firms, they are employing less than 50 workers. So it's a major problem here. And that's why we could not take on the countries like Bangladesh and China, who are employing cheaper labors and all, because these companies, these firms are becoming like very much stubborn, in the sense that they do not want to reveal many things. They want to escape some taxes measures and all. So that's why we could not take a leap here. So these things should be changed, and these regulatory frameworks, they should be upgraded in a sense that these all are inclusive. Okay, and competitiveness is rising. That's the case. So here we should take advantage of these things, and they are surely gonna benefit our manufacturing sector here, because many data are missed here, because they are employing lesser number of workers. We need bigger ones, we need bigger factories here, and we need bigger farms in the agricultural sector there. So there also it's a big need. So the clubbing is very much important here. Next, fast tracking privatization. A lot more privatization is needed. Alone privatization or alone government state-owned these firms, they cannot take on the economy. A joint effort is needed, and for that a regulatory framework, a smooth framework is needed. As many scholars, they have talked about this joint public-private partnership. So this regulatory framework and a proper industrial policy is needed, which is taking this issue. So it should be inclusive here, and technology is going to be the biggest help, and the main focus should be on the execution and the implementation of the policies and the programs here. And that's why as I told you in the starting, that deep monitoring, follow-up, program wise and office wise, that is needed. Okay, so this is how we can take on these issues, and the government can get a big boost and a big start here. And in 100 days they need to look for all these things. Now go for the examination tomorrow. If you have studied nicely, then do not worry. More than 50% questions you will recall very easily. That's my personal experience. No need to be tensed up here. For sure, it may be a condition that you are not remembering anything right now, but it is all due to the pressure. That's a psychological reality, and many things maybe you are not revising, but you will recall in the examination, because 50% of the paper is easy. Always it is easy. 50% of paper would be very tough. So for that your expertise would be needed, and if you have not studied for whole year, then things would be very risky. Do not waste your chance here, I would suggest, and be ready for all the scolding and reprimanding, all these issues, and that's all your karma, and you need to bear the consequences, as we discussed about the Jaina doctrine yesterday. So that is for sure. Whatever is going to happen, you have to bear the consequence, but always take some learning from here. If you have not worked hard for the last 1 year, then you should be under pressure for the next year, and you will work hard for sure. That's a promise you should make to yourself. Thanks a lot. Keep watching.